Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach. Today is Wednesday, June 9th, and I am joined by my playing partner, Mr. Andrew Hansen, to discuss a very interesting golf tournament this weekend called the Palmetto Championship at Congaree. What do you think about that, Andrew?
Well, I think it's going to be our first time down this road, down this Magnolia Lane, so to speak.
Yeah,
First time for everybody. Well, most of the guys haven't
yeah,
played here. First time it's a tour event held here, and it, when you're playing golf in real life, Coach, I don't like playing a course for the first time if you have all these dog legs and blind shots, and you just don't really know where you're going. I always like
right.
that second round at the course. And so we got to overcome that in DFS this week and try to find an edge.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. This is a week that you know there's going to be a little bit more variance. There's a lot less to study. I mean, we've got first of all that let's mention this because it's sort of amazing. It's 76.55 and only a par 71. Are you kidding me?
Longest par 71 on tour this year. This is no joke.
No, no. So it's going to be that combination, I think, of, and we'll talk about that as you go through your study of it and everything. But it looks as though it's going to be, you got to hit it long, and your approach has to be good because if not, you're in trouble on those greens. So, man, this is going to be a real tester and a hard one to really handicap.
It is, yeah. In terms of the course, it's interesting because it's got a links style, and there seems to be a bit of an Australian sand belt flavor. That's the phrase I keep coming across. So you've got some wide sandy areas, really wide fairways. Rough is not an issue. So driving accuracy isn't ultra important, but the distance that you mentioned is. And then
Right.
coming into these greens, they're ultra fast and
Yeah.
firm. And so it plays into that links style where you got to get creative and you can bump and run. Try to land it on the right spot. I heard an interview with Kevin Kisner talking about how you can hit an approach shot here. It can bounce 12 or 14 times and not stay on the green because it's so firm.
Wow.
So the strokes gained approach is important, and then that short game is really important. The way that they have these challenging green complexes, and so just think of the old British Opens where you're around the green and you have the creativity and the skill in the short game, then that can really give you an edge this week.
Sounds like a tough challenge, man. And one good piece of news, though, this obviously in South Carolina and this time of year, you get those afternoon thunderstorms. But, based on the weather today, they're having a decent amount of rain there. So maybe that softens the greens a little bit, gives them a break there. And I know you had mentioned they have great drainage at this particular course. So maybe it won't hurt as much on the distance off the tee. But then throughout Thursday through Sunday, I don't see any major advantage because there's like a 40% to 20% chance of showers each of the 4 days, but nothing is consistent. And generally, that's if you've gone there to that area, Charleston or Myrtle Beach or any of those areas on the coast at this time of year, it's volatile. Things blow in and out off the ocean, and you get some rain here and there. So I don't think weather's going to be in effect. It's mid 80s throughout the week, so we should get a really interesting test of golf. And I'm excited to watch it just because it is something completely new. We've had so many courses here where we were very familiar with them. We had either played them or walked them or been there, but this one is completely out of the blue, and it's actually sort of fun going into the U.S. Open that's coming up. So
Yeah, I think so too. And it's interesting how by all accounts, it's very different in terms of the course. And then we'll see next week at the U.S. Open. So the
yes,
guys who are here, are they there to just practice and be sharp guys like Brooks Koepka?
True.
or are these some local guys? A lot of southern guys here who this is right in their backyard, and so they
Yeah.
feel comfortable there. And other guys who are just taking advantage of the opportunity. Some younger guys, recent college graduates getting invitations here, guys with Corn Ferry Tour experience. So it's a mixture of guys because you go all the way up to the studs of DJ and Koepka, who we'll get to in a minute. But
Right.
to start this off, I did some digging around to try to find information on who has played this at least a few times.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
helpful.
a
Absolutely.
couple names to go with here. Lucas Glover is a course ambassador here. So
Mm,
he's played it more than most, and his putting's been better recently. So he's in play for me. He's usually very reliable to at least make the cut, which we love in PGA DFS.
all right.
Kevin Kisner, no big surprise, as a Southern guy, has played here and has provided some commentary on the course. And I actually liked his interview, Coach. I liked his. He seemed pretty zeroed in and confident because it does require you to shape your approach shot and have precision. His putting hasn't been as good recently as a guy like Glover or some of the other short game guys we'll get to. So that's the drawback on him. But I think he's worth considering.
Okay.
Luke List has the course record. Recently shot a 65 there, so he's done his homework, but he's missed his last couple cuts. So there's some
Yeah.
pros and cons there. And then one of the young guys, Bryson Nimmer, grew up an hour from there. It's his third tour event. He's made a cut. He's really cheap. He's 6,300, and he's one of the guys who's talking about how these younger guys have a bit of an advantage, or they're more on a level playing field with the veterans who haven't played here much because they couldn't. So, like you
Right.
said, it's kind of fun to see who's been there, who's been doing their homework a little bit, and how does everybody perform here with their first opportunity? Because we don't those other tournaments we've had recently, like the Memorial or go on and on. We don't have guys who've played here for 10 years.
No. And, we were talking prior to the pod here, and we don't know, this might be just a one and done shot for this tournament because it's taking place of that Canadian RBC Heritage Canadian Championship that's been around for years and years because of the, COVID travel restrictions. So it'll be interesting to see if, how things shift around, if it does land a spot regularly on the tour or not. So, a lot to be determined this weekend for sure.
Absolutely. Do you want to talk about some of the odds, some of the studs? Because there's an
Yeah.
interesting mix here of top flight players, but also the younger crowd coming in.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit easier to make the cut for some of the better players from what I can see, because a lot of people, passing to prepare for the U.S. Open or, doing whatever other than playing. So I think you're going to see some of the stronger players have a little bit easier time making the cut. But again, you just wonder if guys are close to that cut line, if they're not just as happy to spend the weekend at home practicing for the Open. So there's a lot of question marks here. But let's look at the top odds guys, and it's amazing though that you've got your top, I'd say 7 that are legit, and then after that it just plummets.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing. So if we've ever needed, like, we don't need just one or even 2 of your value dudes. We may need like 3 or 4 of them
Right.
today. But so you've got Dustin Johnson, obviously the favorite at 8-1, and Koepka at 8.5-1. So those are the 2 guys that you're going to see either both or at least one of them in almost everybody's lineup. So what is your thinking on the 2 chalk?
I want to fade them both, Coach.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's your contrarian spot right off the bat.
At least on DraftKings, where price is more of an issue.
Yeah.
But, I mean, DJ, he's missed the cut at the Masters and the PGA.
Yeah.
This is his home state, but I remember when they were asking him about this course at the PGA, and he didn't know anything about it like most of these guys, and didn't seem to care that much about the fact that it was in South Carolina. He couldn't even remember the biggest tournament he'd won in South Carolina.
Oh,
So
jeez.
I don't see the need to pay top dollar for somebody who is ultra talented, but he's just not in good form.
Yeah, no,
And
I'm with you.
you know,
I'm shocked about Kepka though, Andrew. You're a
yeah,
Kepka
I
truther,
do. I
man.
am. And yeah, I mean, he's in a different situation right now than DJ because he played really well at the PGA, right
Right.
there down to the wire, finishing second. So if I was going to play one of them, I would play him.
Okay.
But and he's got the great length, so there's a lot to be said for it. Maybe I'm going to talk myself into it, Coach. Don't don't remind me how much I like Kepka. I'm
I
going to talk
know.
myself into it
What's your fade reasoning though, mainly?
just because of the
Price?
ownership and
Yeah.
yeah, and the price and the fact that it's just without um, without guys to like what you said, the big drop off after the top seven. You don't
Right.
have a bunch of guys here where you're going to get fired up about. Yeah, let me just go down to Patrick Reed this week, or let me go down to Webb Simpson.
Yeah.
You don't have those options, so you feel
No.
safe with Kepka, and and there's a lot to be said for that. But
Oh,
that's my
I know
initial build.
he's showing up in your lineup.
Yeah,
Don't even mess
we'll
around.
see. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've right now got Kepka penciled. Just again, a lot of the reasoning being, I don't think he has to play really great golf to make the cut and at
Right.
least, get some points for you. But yeah, DJ is just such an odd guy, man. It's so hard to determine. I feel as comfortable saying, he's not going to give a damn and just not make the cut, or he could win by 6 shots.
Right.
It's
That
that's
is
the
the risk.
problem with DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so here's the next group of 4 guys that I respect, and I think all of these guys have a good shot to make my lineup. To be honest with you, it's Tyrrell Hatton, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Sunjae M, and Tommy Fleetwood. What do you think of that grouping?
Solid group. They're all guys that you usually feel pretty good about for a top 20.
Yeah,
I think they're all playable. Hatton's getting a lot of publicity here because of the fact that it's a link style course,
right.
and he's got the great approach game. But I didn't like his interview. He was really talking about being rusty. 5 or 6 weeks ago, he had the positive COVID test, and then
Yeah,
he's had a couple weeks off here. So he admitted that he feels rusty,
yeah.
which maybe he'll get over that quickly and his
It's a
talent will take
concern.
over. So yeah, that's
He's
the
he's
concern
a
there.
bit of a crabby guy, though.
Yeah,
Every interview, he just sort of annoyed a little bit.
right.
One of those kind of
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. That's another theme sometimes with some of the Europeans.
Yes, little standoffish for sure.
Right, right. Fleetwood.
And we don't mean anything negative we have lots of listeners all over the world.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I love everything about golf over there, and
Yeah,
I like how a lot of those interviews they are very open and honest.
true.
They're sharing the negative side,
Yes,
which is refreshing sometimes.
it is. It is. Honesty is good. Sometimes, some of the guys that just came up from when they were 7, like, Justin, or I
Justin
mean,
Thomas.
yeah,
Yeah,
those kind of guys just, it's almost like a pageant
right,
kid, they're
right.
just, programmed. But I like the honesty too.
Yeah,
I think that that's refreshing.
yeah. Fleetwood, you mentioned, who
Yes.
awesome talent. He's been inconsistent,
Yeah.
really week to week too. Not like
Yeah.
cold for 6
Strange.
and then hot for 6. So
Nope.
he's, it kind of depends on what you want to build. If you want to build GPP lineup, maybe you start with DJ and Fleetwood because they could both win by 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And then I think he makes a lot of sense. But again, he just, he hasn't been on his top form lately. Fitzpatrick, I think, is really solid.
Yeah.
He could be a good way to pay up for talent but get lower ownership.
True.
Yeah.
And that group, by the way, is 14 to 25 to 1. So they're all gapped in that next level. Here's a guy. I probably should have added this guy into that group. Harris English is 30 to 1. But then is when it starts getting really uh, sketchy. What do
Okay.
you think of English, though? Any chance for you to
Not
make your lineup?
not quite good enough recent form either.
No, he's
So
not playing well.
maybe this is part of the theme here. A lot of these guys are trying to find a rhythm
True.
because they,
Good
for
point.
various reasons, just aren't at the top of their game.
Yep.
So
All right. Are you ready for this group?
give me
Because
somebody I can
I,
play. I don't like all these expensive guys
well,
this week.
this, I'll put a ring around these guys. They're between 35 and 50 to 1. And I'll just give you, I know it's a lot of guys, but I'm just going to give you like 10 of these guys, and then you can pick out the guys you want next. But do you know the ninth favorite to win this tournament is Garrick Higo?
Now we're talking. Now you're talking my
I,
language, coach. Give me some value guys,
how
value
about that?
names. Yeah,
And
he's.
then go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. All right. Well, we'll circle back to Higo. We'll remember he's at the top of the list. What's the entire group?
Absolutely. All right. Keith Mitchell, Patton Kaziri, Alex Noren, Ian Poulter, Lucas Glover, Brant Snedeker, Harold Varner III, Jonathan Vegas, Ben Martin, and C.T. Pan. How's that for a grouping?
Sounds like a winning lineup right there. Yeah,
Talk about put the blindfold in darts. There you go with that one.
let's start with Higo, who
Yes.
he has had a terrific putting season over on the European Tour. He's won a couple times. He's got plenty of power. He's young. He's 22. He just isn't a household name yet. Hasn't done it yet on American soil. But this is
Vegas respects him though.
yeah, they do, they do. So I like him here as the yeah. I mean, now I'm excited about this group starting off with Higo. So
Wow,
let's
only
build a
you,
line.
man. You're amazing. All right, so give us the rest of these gems if you can remember some of those guys I threw out there.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Glover in that group, who's
I
the
did.
the local course ambassador. Got experience here. Snedeker, I
Yep,
mean, awesome putter, one of the best putters ever on the PGA
no
Tour.
question. He's
And
phenomenal on the tee.
I like these veterans.
Yeah.
He's one of my veterans for the week.
Okay.
He has had several top 20s lately, so
Yeah.
he's getting there.
Yeah.
Um,
His
Pat,
price is fair too. That's what
yeah,
I like.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Patton Kazire, his short game,
Dangerous.
very dangerous. Two top threes or tied for
Yeah.
thirds in May.
Yeah.
So that's something we like. Those are probably my favorites out of that group.
Yeah.
But um,
Keith Mitchell's come through for me. He's made some cuts when I've played him. He's not a bad player either.
no, he's got a little swagger.
Yeah.
Having won, and he's finished pretty high here a few times.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said for him. You mentioned Ben Martin, who
Yes.
has had some pretty good stats lately. I know you've been on him. He's probably been a value guy that you've played more than me, and you've had a lot of
Yeah.
success with him. He's had some
Yeah,
good
he's
stats.
a grinder, he generally will get through to the weekend, but it's just hard with this course though because I've been able to pluck him out a few times on courses where I know he plays well, but this is such a anomaly of not knowing what, how these guys are going to adjust to this course.
Yeah, but a guy like that who has been standing out in strokes gained off the tee and approach
Yeah,
on a long course where you need precision,
true.
that puts you in a pretty good spot and see if he can roll in some putts.
The other thing too is, Andrew, a lot of these guys, and this is a good thing to think about when you're building your lineups, and why I sort of like your theory this week to fade some of these chalk expensive guys. Is this that big of a deal to Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Tommy Fleetwood, etc.? These guys are already multi-million-dollar, multiple-time winners, huge endorsements. But you take guys like, Garrick Higo and Harold Varner III, Jonathan Vegas, Ben Martin, C.T. Pan. This might be their best chance to take something down. And
Right.
you win a tournament on the tour, all the exemptions kick in, besides all the outside stuff with possible, advertising deals, etc. But the main thing that these guys are always looking to do is make sure they're qualified and they can play in events. And if you can sneak up in a tournament like this, that's a weaker loaded tournament, even a Kevin Kisner who hasn't won in a while, they may really buckle in and say, hey, listen, I need to win this tournament. I'm going to grind it to the end, because then you're playing the US Open next year. You're playing, those tournaments. So that's a good theory, I think, too, to look at, because starting with the US Open and some of these tournaments coming up, the long time tournaments that guys have already committed to, you're not going to have a whole lot of opportunity until later in the season to maybe, grab a victory if you're some of these mid-level guys. Like a Doc Redman, for example, is another guy, Luke List. Those are all guys that maybe this is their best shot, and, maybe they go after it.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of those names, especially in that first 4 or 5, really looking for their first win on the PGA Tour, or maybe their second. And they look at a field that's not quite so top heavy with top 20 guys. We know there's a couple studs there, but yeah, great opportunity for a lot of the mid-tier guys. And with the final build here, I think we may need to hold out a couple of our extra value plays for members this week. Otherwise, we're gonna finish off my DraftKings lineup here if we're not careful.
I know. We already know you've already plugged Koepka in, so that's a given.
But yeah, that's what we do. We build a clipboard on DraftKings for golf. Nice full clipboard with lots of options, and then core plays highlighted. And then we can give out the full lineup on Fanduel. So we do that for our members with a cash lineup and a GPP.
Yeah, and it gives everybody, members, an option to what lineups, what do you want to play, what kind of contest selection. And some people are stronger cash single entry players, some want to play more GPP style. But I'll tell you, if there's a week where you spread out and make a few different lineups, for me, who's normally a 1 or 2 lineup guy, this could be a 5 or 6 lineup week for me, because there's just so much variance and possibilities here. I think you got to spread that out a little bit. But if you want to get access to those lineups, join us. We're at dfscoachtalk.com. You can join for as little as a 3-day pass. And if you're listening to this, you like golf and you play DFS golf, this is the day to join, because that 3-day pass is $10. You would get in there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then you can make a decision from there. But you'll get all of our lineups for tonight for this whole tournament. And then on Fridays nights, we put out a lineup for weekend only, which, again, those contests are just as good as the ones for tomorrow, because you got a lot more people watching on the weekend. So we'd love to have you join us there. We also have a package right now, is a 2-month membership for $111, which is the best deal we've offered this season. We did it in unison with the NBA playoffs. But you don't just get the NBA playoffs. You get everything we offer, which right now is all of the baseball, all of golf, and all of basketball. And so, we'd love to have you join us, and just dfscoachtalk.com, or you can check us out on Twitter at dfscoachtalk. If you have specific questions for Andrew on Twitter, he's at Language Olympic, and I am at JOESARVADI. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, this is the quick ask. Real important to us, though, a quick thumbs up, a quick subscribe, and hit that little alert button in the upper corner. That will let you know when our podcast posts. All right, what other gems do you have? Any other statistical analysis or guys you want to point out? I know you were talking about putting being somewhat key this week. Are there any guys that stand out to you there beyond like a Snedeker? And, I would assume Johnson and Koepka both are decent in the putting ratings.
Yeah, so if you want to do some more research this week, I would look at short game statistics, scrambling, putting. All right, Coach, I'll throw in one more name. It's Luke Donald. Any chance I can to throw in another veteran, I will. And his putting has turned around lately. His strokes gained approach has been really strong. Tied for 13th at the Byron Nelson, under 7,000 on DraftKings. I like that profile.
We may have to start doing a podcast for the senior tour since you're
Seriously,
although
you'd
I
have.
can't make jokes after Phil won the PGA. I
Yeah,
can't make jokes anymore.
that's right.
Outstanding. All right. Well, I mean, that should hopefully that gives everybody the best idea that we can
Yep.
of what to prepare for. Again, this is an odd week with a lesser field, a new course, but hey, that doesn't mean you can't smash it. I mean, I'm going to probably go, full disclosure, probably a little lighter than normal in golf. Just get ready to go after the U.S. Open, but I'm certainly going to have some exposure, and sometimes these smaller tournaments can be a hidden gem for you.
Agreed completely. Let's do it.
All right. Okay. Well, we appreciate everybody listening in. Definitely catch us 7 days a week with our NBA podcast. And we are here weekly every Wednesday. We'll leave this up. We have a lot of people that tune into it on Fridays for that weekend only information. And hopefully some of these guys that we've mentioned today make the cut, and you can utilize them on Friday as well. But we really appreciate everybody listening in, and we'll certainly be back again next week for the big U.S. Open PGA coverage. We'll go a little bit longer, a little bit deeper on that one, and there's some phenomenal contests out there, big money in the DFS world. So we'll look forward to that, and we appreciate you all, and we look like we're going to go after it and crush it in PGA DFS.